Welcome to the Common Man Football Show. My name is James Coburn, and today's episode, we're talking about the Oakland Raiders versus Los Angeles Chargers Week 17 matchup based on analytics. Each week, I like to collect all of the current 2017 NFL team data in order to analyze and project potential NFL performance. And since it's a weekly collection, there's always going to be some variation between various data points. However, there's always going to be little nuggets of truth that could become bigger nuggets of truth as the season continues. So stick around as I analyze each week's matchups based on analytics. And if you are new to the channel, all terms and definitions will be in the description. So, starting with this matchup between the Raiders and the Chargers. When you look at the NFL stat basic comparison data, and basic comparison data essentially deals with the basics. It essentially just deals with how the offense is doing, how the defense is doing, and how the special teams is doing based on overall team statistical data in both those categories. And if you aren't familiar with any of these data points or categories, you can just go to the description where all terms and definitions will be there. Now, it should not be surprising that the Chargers are pretty much favored in this game based on the NFL stat-based comparison data. So let's get into some reasons as to why. First off, the Chargers are favored over the Raiders because the Chargers have better offensive data across the board. The Chargers have better turnover ratio, meaning they don't turn the football over as much as the Raiders do. The Chargers have better sack percentage, so they don't allow as many sacks. And the Chargers also have better offensive score percentage, which is essentially the ability to put points on the board. So every offensive category that matters in terms of winning football games, especially offensive score percentage, all favor the Chargers in this particular matchup. And then on top of that, when you get to the defensive side of the football, the Chargers have the better defensive offensive score percentage, better turnover ratio, better sack percentage, and better interception percentage. So clean sweep across the board. The Chargers just have a better defense in terms of preventing points and doing the sexy things like getting turnovers and getting interceptions. So every area on defense pretty much heavily favors the Chargers. As well as their offense heavily favored in other areas as well. And then, of course, you get to special teams data. The Chargers have the better punt return yardage. Raiders have the better kick return yardage. Defensive punt return yardage goes to the Raiders. Defensive kick return yardage goes to the Raiders. Field goal percentage goes to the Raiders. Extra point percentage goes to the Raiders. And punting average goes to the Chargers. In terms of who has the better special teams, it pretty much goes to the Raiders. The Raiders have a better field goal percentage. Field goal percentage is by far one of the better, if not the best, out of every single special teams data point. It's basically the most correlative. It's the most predictive. If you only look at field goal percentage in terms of determining outcomes in games, you will do fairly well. You don't really have to look at every single aspect of special teams, but field goal percentage is very important from a practical standpoint or just a common sense standpoint. Field goals are major game-changing plays. If you're able to get a field goal to win the game, get a field goal to tie a game. So ultimately, the team that has the better field goal percentage or the ability to convert field goals is going to have a better time in terms of potentially winning football games. And in that aspect, the Raiders are favored there. But overall, the Chargers are favored in terms of offense and defense, where the Raiders are favored in terms of special teams. But other than those areas, pretty much favors the Chargers pretty heavily in this game over the Raiders. And then, of course, when you get to some other sort of data points, so now we're getting into some micro matchups based on various downs and distances. When you look at the Los Angeles Chargers offense versus Raiders defense when it comes to completion percentage data, the Chargers are favored in terms of second and third down. So the Chargers really shouldn't have too much trouble completing passes against this Raiders defense. And then, of course, you look at the Raiders offense versus Chargers defense when it comes to completion percentage, where the Chargers defense is favored on first and second down. So the Chargers offense and defense are pretty much favored in terms of completion percentage So this definitely kind of more so sways to the Chargers as well, kind of showing that from a macro standpoint, they're favored, and from a micro standpoint, they're also favored in a lot of different aspects. Then, of course, you get to first down conversion rate with the run. Again, this really has nothing to do with yardage or explosive plays. It mainly has to do with just the ability to create first downs on various downs and distances. So if you are able to convert first downs on first down at a higher rate than every other NFL team, then you're going to score higher. And in this particular area, the Raiders defense is favored on first and third down. So definitely the one aspect of the Raiders defense that actually works is their rushing defense. But that doesn't exactly mean that it doesn't always help their passing out though. So unfortunately, the Raiders do have some positives, but they're positives that don't always lead to winning a lot of football games. Then, of course, we get to the Raiders offense versus Chargers defense when it comes to rushing downs, where the Chargers are favored on first and second down. So definitely kind of more so favors the Chargers here in terms of stopping the run. Then, of course, we get to passing downs with the Chargers offense versus Raiders defense, where the Chargers offense is favored in terms of first and third down. Then we get to the Raiders offense versus Chargers defense, where the Chargers defense is favored in terms of first, second, and third down when it comes to the passing game. So definitely kind of favors them for the most part in terms of those, downs and distances. Then we get to sack rates between the Chargers offense and Raiders defense, where the Chargers are favored on first, second, and third down based on the data here. Then we get to the Raiders offense versus Chargers defense, where the Raiders offense is favored on first and second down. So definitely kind of more so favors the Raiders here in that aspect. The main down and distance to watch, though, is third down. Most of the sacks that the Raiders have given up have come on third down, and most of the sacks that the Chargers have given up have come on third down as well. So that's going to be a big down and distance to kind of see what happens in terms of sacks. Then we get to the Chargers offense versus Raiders defense when it comes to interception ratio, where the Chargers are favored on first and second down. So I don't really expect a lot of interceptions to come in this game for the Chargers. And then finally, you look at the Raiders offense versus Chargers defense in terms of interception ratio, where the Chargers defense is favored on first, second, and third down. So much more likely that the Raiders throw a pick that could change the course of the game versus the Chargers throwing a pick based on the overall data. So overall, general thoughts and opinions about this game. I think this is a Chargers victory. I think when you look at the offense, you look at the defense, you look at the special teams in certain aspects, you look at the micro data, you look at the various downs and distances, and you just have to come away going, yeah, the Chargers are probably going to win this football game. It's also at home for the Chargers. It's a home game for the Chargers. So that can also kind of factor into things as well. But overall, I mean, the bottom line is that the Raiders are just not a very good football team right now. Their defense is worse than it was last year. Their offense has regressed hard in terms of just their ability to put points on the board. They've had issues in terms of turnovers. So ultimately, I just have to go Chargers here. But let me know in the comment section below, who do you believe is going to win this football game? And of course, my name is James Coburn. You can find my other work at draftcoburn.wordpress.com. You can also follow me on Twitter at Geometrics. And if you like this content and you want more content like this, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Share this video as well with anybody that you know. And I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Peace.